Yes, welcome to the Vanguard Show podcast. I'm your host, Malik Ishmael. And today we have a very special guest, Brother Mandela Jones, who is a Atlanta-based photographer, videographer, and is the co-founder of Vivid Exposure Photography, where he specializes and captures the emotions, details, and love portrayed at weddings and other events. And he also is a sideline photographer, high school games, football games, rather, as well
Hmm.
as college games. And again, brother, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I got to give a shout out to my nephew DeMarco for
Definitely.
getting me hip to what you do. How'd you first of all? How'd you meet Marco DeMarco?
So DeMarco and I met in college, actually, through a mutual friend. My cousin actually went to Georgia Southern, and that's how I ended up down there. And not too long after I was on campus, he introduced me to DeMarco, and so we have been friends ever since then. And now he's actually considered one of my best friends. So DeMarco and I are real close and go way back.
Oh, cool, cool. Well, again, I want to thank you for shooting my event I had at Southwest Art Center.
Yep.
Myself, my wife, Kathy, as well as my comrade, Brother Kamal Cyrus, and
Sure.
Brother Kwame Welch. So, again, thank you. And I really appreciate your professionalism, the quality of your work. How different is it shooting say, a photo exhibit reception as opposed to weddings or sports events, or are they pretty much similar in terms of what you do?
Um, I think the mindset's a little bit different in terms of kind of the mechanics of what I do. Essentially, it kind of is the same. In terms of, like my style, the way I like to capture the event, the way I like for it to look, the aesthetics of it, all those things are similar. The preparation's a little bit different. So, take a sporting event, in particular, some of the college events that I do. I guess it's kind of high school as well, but you are typically trying to tell a story similar to any event that you capture. You're trying to tell a story. In sports, you want to make sure that you kind of understand the storyline. So who are the good players? You want to get images of the coaches. You want to depending on who wins and who loses, you want to make sure that you capture pictures that kind of tell that story. So if I'm at a football game and one team gets beat really bad, you want to try to look for an image of one of the players, kind of in a very distraught way, or,
Right.
upset, angry, things like that.
Yeah.
Weddings are similar in the sense that, the underlining story is, a very emotional day, but a very happy, joyous, it's usually the most exciting day of someone's life usually is when they get married. And so, well, I guess after they get married,
Right,
the
right.
pressure and all that stuff leading up to it sometimes makes for a stressful day. But you're just trying to tell a story, right? You're trying to capture a lot of the intricacies of the day, whether it's like the time that the bride spends with her mother, or the groom, his parents seeing him for the first time, all dressed up. If the couple decides to do a first look where they see each other for the first time. And so you just want to make sure that you're kind of there, not really in the way, but just, floating around. And just grabbing all of those details. And then events are a little bit different. Events are more of you just kind of documenting what's going on. So you just want to make sure you capture, almost everything in an event type setting, because you don't know what necessarily is important unless the client tells you, like, hey, I want to make sure I grab this. You
Right.
typically don't know exactly what is the most important thing to them, so you're just kind of there to essentially document everything. So I like to capture as much as possible, because the story is more so what's going on, what's happening, as opposed to, with like a wedding or a football game, the story is kind of already, going in what the story is. An event is a little bit different, but they all present their different challenges. They're, um it's a fun process, just kind of working through, like all of those intricacies. But yeah, that I would say that's pretty much the difference between the three.
Okay. When Marco told me about you, the first thing that popped out was the name Mandela.
Yep.
So explain I think it's academic, but explain the origin of your name and what happened.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my dad was a huge Nelson Mandela fan. And as a very conscious brother, he decided to name me after Mandela. Mandela was actually still in prison when he named me. And so he received some flack from, those who didn't know, in terms of, like, why would you name your son after someone that's incarcerated? But for me, I love the name, honestly. I think it's a really cool name. I think the
Definitely.
beauty of it is it provides me with kind of a responsibility. It provides me with, almost an anchor, essentially, that there's an expectation on me because of my name. And I like that. I welcome that. And it's actually a cool story about it is, growing up, my dad always talked about, his dream was to go to Africa.
Mm,
And his dream was, before he always said, before I die, I gotta see Africa.
right.
And I was fortunate enough to take him and my mom and my mother-in-law to South Africa,
Oh,
of all
beautiful.
places. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we got to go to like the Mandela House in Johannesburg, and we got to spend some time in Cape Town. And the joy on his face of being able to
Wow.
be in Africa and just kind of like soak it all in was probably one of the highlights of my life.
Wow.
And so yeah, that's how I got the name. And like I said, I love it. So
Wow, wow. Great
yeah.
story there. And again, the meaning behind the name and the person behind it, they always say that an African proverb is that what is it, the roots, what is it? What is that African proverb? Anyway, I'm gonna have to get back to that. When you get near 60, you almost lose your mind. You can't get
Yeah,
it done.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I was going to ask you, are you native to Atlanta? You was born and raised in Atlanta?
Yeah, so I was born
Okay.
on the South Side.
Okay.
I grew up first, I guess, 10 or so years of my life in Riverdale.
Okay.
And then around the fifth grade, we moved to Jonesboro, and went to attended Lovejoy High School and Mundy's Mill High School, graduated from Mundy's Mill, and then went to Georgia Southern for college and then came back. So yeah, I'm born and raised, and never left for longer than a few weeks.
Oh, okay. All right. And when did you develop your interest in photography?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. For me, I think kind of just taking a step back, photography checks a lot of boxes for me. It's a way for me to kind of express myself creatively, which I think just provides just a good outlet. I think the other thing is that photography is like a challenge, right? So learning something new, I think, is always a good thing. And it provided me with an opportunity to kind of blend some of my interests in terms of, you know, capturing images. The viewer sees one thing, but the work, the effort, the detail, the understanding of how to manipulate a camera, all of those things are kind of up to the photographer to learn and to, hopefully eventually master. And so I started out in photography really probably around like 2014, I think, is when I
Okay.
started traveling,
Okay.
and started like traveling the world in particular. And so I would go to a place and would want, like images of sometimes like the most popular things. So, um, it's like going to New York and wanting a picture of like Times Square, right? Things like
Right.
that.
Right.
And you've seen those images like so many times and just wanting to like replicate those. But also just kind of like capturing, just the essence of where I was going and what I was doing, things like that. And I just wanted better quality photos. I had like a cell phone like everybody,
Right.
and was disappointed with the quality of the images,
Okay.
and just really wanted, high quality images to really kind of document the places that I was going, the things I was seeing. And just decided to buy a camera and not really knowing much about it, taking, like a couple like online courses
Mm.
um on, like really kind of the mechanics of a camera. And I would say that I kind of had like a natural eye for it, but again, I think to me the beauty of it is figuring out how to take a piece of machinery and manipulate it to get, the art. And I think for me that's what I really enjoy about photography. um and I like the fact that there are rules to it. There are certain styles, there are some kind of tangible things that you can grab onto to guide you as a photographer in the beginning, but ultimately it kind of is up to your eye and the way that you see the world, and if you can you know get the machine, essentially the camera, to cooperate with that. And I think that challenge and that balance is something I really enjoy.
Okay. Well, it was Pablo Picasso who once said that our goal in life is to discover our gift. Our purpose
Yep.
in life is to give it away or share it. When did you
Sure.
first discover your gift in your eye for capturing these historic images?
um I think that's a good question. I don't know if I necessarily like started to be a great photographer, if you will. I
Mm.
think, and I'm still in that process, right? Like I don't consider myself to be great. I kind of look at it as striving to be better.
Okay.
But I think realistically, I think it was just going to these amazing places, for instance, going to South Africa.
Wow.
And the first time I went, so I've been to South Africa twice, one with my wife, then I think we were engaged at the time. Don't quote me on that, but
Okay. All right. Hey, between
I'm
you,
pretty sure.
me
You
and your
know what?
queen.
Yeah,
Between you and
you
your
know
queen.
what? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were engaged at the time.
Okay.
Um, but just going there, and we went to Kruger National Park,
Okay.
um, and like seeing all the wildlife and just wanting to have, just good images of that.
Yeah.
Like I said, high quality, like museum level quality images of the things we were seeing. And I think it like one kind of went hand in hand, right? It was like as I was going to these very nice places, Madrid or Barcelona, or we went to Malta, we went to
Mm.
Rome, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Mauritius, like just going
Mm.
to all of these like beautiful places, the need to continue to have like what I felt was again like museum level or quality images to document those events, something that I would like to share with my son in terms of like, hey, these are some things that your mother and I did, like these are some places that we went to, hopefully when you go they look similar.
Mm.
And just encouraging that, I think that was really kind of the driver. And I think to me it was a natural progression, like as you pick up anything new, the more that you do it, the better you get at it. But it's like the 10,000 hour rule, right? It's
Right.
you can
Mm.
only be bad at something for so long.
Right.
And just the nature of the reps essentially will kind of boost your skill set essentially. And that's what it was for me. I just kept shooting. And the more I shot, the better I got. Like some of my first images were really bad, like
Oh,
it,
okay.
yeah, they were terrible. I mean, it's like anything else, it's 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 like the first time you played a sport, like you probably were awful. You may have had like some natural gifts, whether it be like speed or awareness or whatever, but like I was like the first images were bad. But the more I shot, the more I looked at other people's work too,
Mm.
um like those kind of things like help kind of navigate your eye essentially. And so I would say I probably had an eye in the sense of I saw something in the world that I really liked and that I wanted to capture.
Mhm.
But how I was able to capture that on a camera, I think took a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of reps. And so um Yeah, I would say I had an eye, but what you see now is like it's just many hours of just playing with it, of just, kind of working on the craft.
Okay, kind of repetition and what have you. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I'm going to ask you, tell us about Vivid Exposure Photography, the services offered, and
Sure.
also your team.
Yep. So the team is me and my partner Jeff Leclerc. I've known Jeff for a very long time. Jeff is actually one of my younger brother's best friends, and so he got into photography, I would say a little bit before I did. And we just kind of partnered up in offering, predominantly weddings. I mean, we do, a host of different things, like again covering your event. We do like engagement shoots, weddings, um, and so yeah, that is basically the team. It's just us two. We tackle all of our events for the most part together, unless there is a request for one of the other. I typically will handle the videography piece if that is a part of the package, or I'll serve kind of as like the second shooter. And then he is typically our primary shooter, and can sometimes assist me with videography as well. So it's a very it's a light team, if you
Okay,
will. I think at the current moment I like it that way. I like our interaction. I like the way that we work together. And I like the way that we interact with the clients, especially on wedding days. I mean, wedding days again can be very stressful, in particular for the bride, and kind of understanding those nuances and putting them at ease. Like the last thing that you want is to add another layer of stress to them.
right.
And I think that between the both of us, we handle that very well, and just provide a quality service. And so yeah, that's what Vivid Exposure is.
And give us the website and your social media just to make sure everyone has that information.
Yeah, so the website, we can be found at www.vividexposurephotography.com, and our Instagram page is Vivid Exposure Photography.
Okay, and I do like both you guys individual Instagram pages. You
Yep.
have some wonderful images on there, but and also I started following your company on Facebook.
Okay.
How important is it to get that information out and to reach a clientele
Um,
with this new age
yeah,
kind of stuff? Yeah.
yeah, it presents some challenges, honestly,
Okay.
because there's a lot of different mediums to reach people. We have kind of gravitated towards the website and Instagram for the most part. We have been in talks for kind of going back and forth between the two of us in terms of kind of revamping our Facebook and attracting more clients that way. The bulk of our clients actually come from word of mouth.
Mm.
And people that we've previously had either worked for or have been a part of like a wedding party in which we've worked, either recommended us or requested us from those things. So I think the marketing piece is something that we can work on a little bit more, and put a little bit more time into it. As the creatives, it's kind of like with any business. There are certain things that you do well that you kind of naturally gravitate towards,
Right.
and then the things that you maybe aren't so strong at, you kind of push off to the back burner a little bit. And I think that has been the case for us in the marketing space. But it's again, it's a challenge, and it's something that we are aware of, and something that we're striving to get better in. But it also, just the nature of like a word of mouth client, just the interactions are usually a lot better. They kind of understand like what you do, they've seen your work before, um and they kind of have either there's just nothing like a glowing review, right? And so
Right.
um we welcome those, but we do kind of recognize that, we probably do need to put a little additional effort into the marketing piece to reach a broader audience.
Okay. And I know that, historically, I've loved photographers like Gordon
Hmm.
Parks Jr., who used to shoot
Yep.
for Life magazine, and
Sure.
I think he did Ebony and Jet as well, but he
Yeah.
transitioned from photography to movies,
Yep.
which from still pictures to moving pictures or motion pictures. In
Sure.
terms of movie categories. Do you see yourself making that move as well?
Um, I could potentially see it. I think I like photography and I like this videography space, particularly as it pertains to weddings. I think it's a natural, again, there isn't a lot that you have to figure out essentially at a wedding. Like I said, similar to, like a sporting event, like you already know who the subject is, like everything is known essentially. And you're just there to document it and to try to capture, the moments that happen but are often overlooked. So for instance, I just shot a wedding maybe like a month or so ago. I did a video for it, and this one was a little bit unique in that the bride chose to do a first look, but not with her husband, but with her father.
Mm.
And so he was the first person to see her like foot. Well, her mom was there, but he was the first, typically the dad sees you like once you're done, essentially. And so he was able to see her like right after she got dressed, and she gave him like a nice card and just
Oh,
thanked him and all this stuff. And so the look on his face, like one, when he saw her, and then two, when he like read the note, just being able to capture that and then put that in their video is something that automatically takes you back to that moment, and the emotions, and again just the feelings of that day. And so capturing like little things like that, I really enjoy. And so would I do like a full film or a documentary? I don't know. I mean, I like new challenges, so maybe down the line I definitely wouldn't rule it out. But the space that I'm in now in terms of weddings, and then kind of like my passion project being like sports, it's just I think it's a good space right now. Like I've got so for football I primarily do like high school and then like HBCU games. And so I've got the Celebration Bowl coming up with JSU and
oh
Coach
yes,
Prime and
yes,
North Carolina Central coming up next weekend, right? So I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, again, the narrative is already there. The
yeah,
the the
yes.
story's already, it's Coach Prime's last game, whether you like it or
Right,
not,
right.
and all of the things that go along with that. It's so I've actually covered them one other time,
Okay,
when they played Alabama A&M.
okay.
And so I've got some images in my portfolio of Dion right now. So but yeah, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't, to answer your question, I wouldn't rule it out, but I am kind of enjoying the space that I'm in right now.
Okay. In terms of the services, so editing is part of that in terms of, say, if someone
Yep.
wanted to hire you to edit a project, for like myself, I'm actually getting together a documentary on the legacy of the Panthers in Los Angeles. And so
Sure.
for like people like myself, could we get your services in terms of editing and what have
Yeah, I do all of my editing. We do all of our editing in-house at the moment. And so yeah, for any images and video, we could definitely edit those as well.
you? Okay. And where do you see your company 10 years from now, just to say a decade from now, in terms of
Ooh,
what you
that's a good
want for
question.
growth?
Yeah, I think 10 years from now, we'll be looking at expansion. I think we
Okay.
would probably looking at um I think we would need like a decent amount of growth right
Okay.
now. And then from there, I think I would like to like mentor and kind of teach and train like younger photographers, in terms of, just introducing them to the art and to the craft. And so, maybe having a small team of younger photographers that would allow us to capture a few more events, a few more weddings, things like that. But yeah, I think that would be kind of the way that I would look at it, would be just growth and expansion.
Okay. And how important is the support of your family and your loved ones and
Oh
all
man.
your endeavors? Speak on that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
huge. My parents have been I mean, they've just been amazingly supportive of kind of anything that I've wanted to do. And so having them just kind of as like the backdrop of my support has just been, I mean, I just can't speak highly enough of the things that they've done to support me and my younger brother. Having the support of my wife is extremely important as well. Photography days, especially weddings, can be like very long days. Sometimes you're looking at, like 8, 10, 12 hour day, just depending on kind of the way the day flows. And so knowing that, that she supports me and has my back and can kind of hold down the home front, especially now that we have a little one, is really huge. And so thank you. I greatly appreciate that. And then just, my friends and family just being encouraging, and, they're always so complimentary of my work. And I think that's the one thing that, sometimes I would say as a creative, you kind of, some creatives will be very reluctant to kind of share their work with the world. It's kind of their baby, and they don't
Yeah.
necessarily want like the criticism, or you just put it out there and you don't exactly know. But I would say that my friends, my family, my tribe have always just been so supportive and so complimentary of my work that it's really allowed me to just continue to stick with it, and more so go from just it being just for photographs for me to kind of sharing and taking on new projects, meeting new people, taking on new projects, and just continuing to push my craft further. So yeah, from a support standpoint, I mean, I couldn't I can't speak highly of my support. My younger brother as well, I've gotta
Okay.
shout him out. And
Okay.
he's always like pushing me to do more as well. So
And what is
so
his
yeah.
name? His name is
Omari.
Omari. Okay.
Omari.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Omari. Coach O, as they call him. He's
Oh,
a high
okay.
school football coach.
Oh, okay. All right.
And yeah, he's actually the defensive coordinator at Stone Mountain High School. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so he's doing his thing over there. So yeah, I'm support wise, I am blessed.
Okay. And what are your future projects, with your company, yourself, and what have you? What are some of the future projects you have?
Yeah, future working on so sports wise, I took a step back from sports this year just with having a son and wanting to make sure that I spent as much time with him as possible, and not trying to leave too much of the burden on my wife. So now that he's getting a little bit older, he turns one actually on the 19th of this month.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Congratulations, definitely.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Happy
So
impending birthday.
yes, yes, yes. We'll receive that. So now that we're kind of getting settled, excuse me, with the old parenthood thing and kind of figuring out the nuances of that, looking to get into more sports. I think for me, like my dream is to one day be able to cover a World Cup. I'm a
Mm,
huge soccer fan, love soccer.
okay.
And so just kind of pushing towards that, just picking up more like sporting events. Right now I've primarily done like football and basketball, but looking to kind of expand into, soccer, maybe like track and field, tennis, like just, expand my craft in terms of sports photography. On the vivid exposure side, we are just pushing to build our clientele, essentially, build our portfolio. We've got an event coming up um, that we're covering, and just continuing to push forward. Like I talked about, working on the marketing piece, and just expanding. That's where we are right now. So these first couple of years have been really good learning experiences. We've taken away a lot, but we are kind of at the point where we want to push forward. So we're excited about that.
Okay. Do you see yourself maybe possibly doing a pictorial book of maybe some of your travels, the events or what have you that you've done that could have a historical context for the public? Because photo books are very popular.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are. I've actually considered that. Yeah, I would probably say I would consider doing one for our travels, and then probably Another one for like sports photography. Again, like my focus in sports, a lot of the work that I've done has been focused on like the HBCUs.
Right.
And so I could see possibly doing one that covers kind of like HBCU sports at various levels. So I've done I actually photographed a couple years ago. It's obviously pre-COVID. I know COVID felt like 3 years, so
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
that's true. That's true.
but I
Everyone.
yeah. So I cover. I was actually fortunate enough to go up to Boston and cover. Howard played Harvard in a football game, and so I was able to document that. And so just like things like that, like, you know, games that are kind of off the beaten path, if you will, or some of the bigger historical games. Like I still yet to cover like a Bayou Classic, which is on my
Oh, you'd have
kind
fun.
of,
I
yeah.
actually went to Southern University.
Okay, yeah.
So
So yeah, you could be my chaperone for that.
you
Like, keep
got
me
it.
out of trouble.
Will do. I'm glad to
Yeah.
help out there. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd like to cover, you know, like some of the big historic, if you will, kind of matchups. And just like tell the story of, you know, of those events. So yeah, I could see putting together a photo book of those. I probably need a few more seasons of images
Okay.
to be able to put something like that together. But yeah, I would definitely consider that.
And I was inspired to ask you that question because I had the honor of meeting not only Muhammad Ali, which was one of
Hmm.
my favorite athletes
Oh
and
yeah,
persons,
sure.
but his photographer, Bingham.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, Howard Bingham, and met them in Los Angeles. And I just remember looking at the photo book, and that's
Yeah.
why I was inspired to really ask you that as a
Yeah.
future endeavor.
Yeah, I've got it just came in. I ordered it from Amazon, but it was on pre-order for like 6 months, but I waited
Okay.
and just got Gordon Parks his collection of segregation images.
Yes.
And so I mean, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Gordon Parks is definitely one of my, probably, if not my biggest kind of photography inspirations. I think the way that he tells stories and the way that there's a realism to his images that you're able to kind of transfer back in time and really kind of get a feel, a sense, almost a taste and a smell of like what was going on in those times. And I mean, yeah, he just does a fantastic job and did a fantastic job of just bringing the viewer into um you know, wherever he was. I really love like his work, and definitely inspired by his imagery and his craft. I mean, it's, I just can't speak highly enough of him.
Wow. Well, I want to again thank you for coming on. And again, how can people, reach out to your company, follow you on social media?
Yep.
Give us all the information before we log out.
Yep, definitely. So we could be reached at vividexposurephotography.com, Vivid Exposure Photography on Instagram as well. My personal Instagram page is Mandela J. And so if you go there, you'll see some images of my son and some of my
Okay.
travels and some of my sports photography work as well, and any kind of like personal projects I've got going on.
Okay. Well, brother, it's been a wonderful time speaking with you. And
Definitely.
I can tell that the sky's the limit for you, brother. Just
Well,
keep
thank
pushing
you.
on and rising up.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. I've enjoyed the conversation as well.
Well, thank you, brother. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Take care, brother.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Bless.
All right. Bless and bless.